Before we get started tonight, I just want to take a quick moment here and have a moment of silence for Justin Owen, who passed away this weekend qualifying for the USAC show in Lawrenceburg. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his entire family, all of his friends, his team, and the entire USAC and short track racing community. We all love motorsports here. That's obvious, I would assume. And we really appreciate guys like Justin going out there and putting it on the line like that. And nobody ever wants to see something happen like this. But the fact of the matter is that racing is very dangerous and this sort of thing can happen. So when it does, we want to hold space for the sacrifice that guys like Justin make and Justin made over this past weekend. So our thoughts and prayers, again, are with everyone affected by this. And we love you guys very much. And we love you, Justin.
Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. I wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I feel. I called him out. He didn't show, and so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but
It's funny. I feel everything that everyone is saying about that race. I feel every single individual emotion about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's a good idea, but that was fucking awesome. That's one of the best races. That might be the best next-gen race we've had.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I've always been a fan of the dirt race, but
yeah,
just, but that one was a superior one.
It was super good. There's multiple lanes. And by the way, folks, if this does make it in the show, we're waiting for Brien right now. He's a few minutes late, and I'm going to have to fuck off here in a second, probably an hour from now, because I got a family dinner to attend to. But
birthday steaks to eat.
That's right. I'm old as shit, so I'm gonna go try and give myself a heart attack tonight.
I mean, good God, Brien, how long does it take to wash the mud off your ass?
Wash yourself. Wash yourself.
Get washed up. You don't have to be that clean for this fucking show.
Yeah, but just in case this usable content, folks, and you are experiencing it. So, but yeah, I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
And now we're just talking about it, and I don't want to go back.
Whatever opinions Brien had don't matter.
It's true. Well, we all know that. Anyway. Between you, listen, listeners, he's not here. He's not going to hear this. He doesn't listen to it. We all know it doesn't. It doesn't matter. He knows about T-shirts. I'll give him that.
Yes.
Beyond that, I don't know.
About it. As far as it goes.
I'm just kidding. Of course, Brien knows what he's talking about.
He knows a couple things.
He definitely knows about monster trucks, which I'm excited to learn more about. Yeah, I really, really hope that we, I guess we're about due for another segment on monster trucks. It's not going to happen today.
No, definitely not today.
Yeah. Well, shit, if this does I guess I'll introduce this real quick. This is Rob. And sitting next to me here in the corner booth is my buddy Ashley Truelove. We're waiting for Brien. Can't believe they sat us here at Applebee's.
Without a full party.
Got to have the full party, yeah.
Well, did you bring our new mascot, the goose?
Yes, I do have a yard goose now, like a plastic yard goose that is by my side at all times now.
What's the T-shirt that it has on?
Well, actually, speaking of Brien, that's a Speedway Screen Special. It's an old Dick Trickle, Cale Yarborough Motorsports T-shirt. It's threadbare.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, but even before I put on my COVID 40 or whatever it was, it didn't fit me right.
Mm.
You know how the 80s larges are? Sometimes they just don't.
Oh, yeah.
They sat in the washer a few times, or cotton was just different back then, so it didn't really work out. But yeah, it fits the goose, so
Oh god.
Yeah. So you were gonna go to Bristol next year, but it doesn't sound like that might happen. Would you go to the payment one? Do you care? Like,
I mean, I went to both last year.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Yeah. And I wanted to go to both this year, but like, man, fucking Bristol hotels, that shit sells out like the day they announce dates. People are like booking up all the hotels up there or jacking them up to fucking $500 to stay at the goddamn Super 8.
Well, the teams have to stay somewhere too. Like you hear stories of them putting the teams like an hour away, or having some of them just drive in. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a problem they have up in Loudoun here. There's, at least there's some semblance of, actually, I don't know. I take that back. I guess it's kind of similar to the setup in Tennessee in the valley there up in Loudoun. There's really not a whole lot.
Mm-mm.
There's hotels like maybe 30 minutes away, 20 minutes away in Concord and in the surrounding towns, Manchester, if you want to drive like 45 minutes. But yeah, the prices go through the damn roof unless you want to sleep in your car at Walmart.
Yeah, because nobody's fucking going there any other time of the year.
God, no. Absolutely not. Well, up here we got Bike Week. It's Laconia Bike.
They got Michael Waltrip's brewery there now in Bristol.
Oh, that's a big time draw for sure.
Big time.
I still have not tried that beer, but I hear it's pretty good. The coconut IPA?
No, I refuse to drink anything coconut flavored, but the one...
Oh...
I can't remember which one it is that I usually get, but I enjoyed it. Two-time...
The two-time blonde?
Yeah, that was it.
Which is kind of funny. It's a funny name for a beer coming from old Mikey.
Oh, Mikey.
Sure I know what it means, but I also know what it means. And
he loves a good two-time blonde.
He sure does.
Hell.
Hey!
Sorry about that.
That's okay. This is Brien, everybody. You may recognize him from previous episodes.
Already recording. Great. Hi.
Well, sort of.
Well, we're already way deep in the episode. It's time for you to talk about the video of the week.
Those are lies. Very much lies.
And boy, the sale we announced at Speedway Screens. These folks are going to be clamoring.
Yeah.
5 for the price of 1.
Don't make me write any checks I can't cash over here.
The code again is Uncle Rob's birthday.
This man has birthday steaks to eat, so we got to get going.
I mean, we can literally keep the first 5 minutes and just keep going here. So, know what? I like your intros. They're the best. So we might have 2 intros on this episode. Again, I'm the guy who edits this. So if you have any complaints, listeners,
sure,
it's my fault. But we're going to let Brien do it because he's better at it than I am. And take it away, Brien.
Well, I guess you guys joined me at Applebee's before I actually got here. But welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your Modified's first podcast.
Woo! Now we're talking. This is why I wanted you to do it, because that's correct.
There we go. I'm Brien K, and you guys have already talked to Rob and Ashley, and
we've already ordered appetizers.
Oh, we were just shooting the shit about Bristol a little bit and how much expensive hotels are and that sort of thing. I've actually never been to Bristol. I know the two of you have, and you have experience at both the dirt race and the regular concrete configuration, but
I don't. And Ashley, were hotels more expensive this year? Did you even actually look into going?
This year, okay, when me and you went last year, I had gotten a hotel like the second they announced the date. So I got in there before the hotels could jack up the prices. But this year they were on top of that shit and prices were insane. So that's why I didn't go.
I see.
Yeah, I wonder how many empty $600 rooms there were, though, judging by that turnout.
Yeah.
I definitely would have.
Easter.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have gone because it was. We'll get into it. It was a good race, but it wasn't in the cards this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've never been to Bristol. I really want to go. In the dirt race, and I'll say it. That was the best Cup race we've seen with the Gen 7 or the next gen, whatever you want to call it. Period. I think it's less because it's on dirt and more because that's what happens when you give a surface that's rough and fucked up and no downforce. I think it's just what happens.
It's funny that you mentioned it was a good show because, again, it was a good race. I enjoyed watching it, but a point that, and I won't dip into his podcast too much today, but a point Denny Hamlin made on his show was that there was only like 3 or 4 lead changes, which I guess maybe when you're watching all the other shit going on, you don't notice, but
there are definitely some great battles for the lead, though.
I don't tend to think that a good race indicates that there's a lot of lead changes, though. And I think that Fox actually did a pretty good job of looking throughout the field and presenting the full picture, which, we've been pretty critical of the Fox team this year, but I got to hand it to him. That was pretty damn good.
Speaking of
As I fucking, all of a sudden, Ty Gibbs and Mike Joy's calling Ty Gibbs spinning on my phone.
Brian's trying to watch he didn't watch it, and he's just trying to catch up.
Jesus Christ.
Well, we'll just go right into talking about Ty Gibbs' tail now.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs' tail is what did that. It just came out of my phone and hit the volume button.
He must have gotten that thing tangled around the shifter again because he's probably in the 20s all day.
He got another top 10 apparently. He got his fourth straight. Yeah, he got his fourth straight top 10.
Do I just not pay attention, or do I just ignore him on purpose?
Listen, if we were going on your last few years of points rankings in the fantasy league, I feel like you weren't paying attention. This year, actually doing good.
Yeah, it's because I picked the good drivers this time. Let me give you all a little hint about NASCAR fantasy in general, folks. Don't try and pull the wool over people's eyes and whip out a surprise. Just pick Larson every week. Just pick Christopher Bell every week until they're gone. And just build up a fat chunk of points, and then you just ride it out. And that's how it is. So until it resets for the playoffs. That's how you do it, folks. There's no fucking science behind it.
That is how I got the lead last year and held it up until the very end when I pulled a Hamlin and choked, and Ashley ended up taking the title one last time.
It's not like DraftKings. NASCAR fantasy is not like DraftKings or FanDuel, which, by the way, is on my shit list because my account got hacked.
No.
I didn't lose any money, but it's still fucking annoying. So fuck FanDuel. I'm all set with them. But yeah, it's just, you can't. I'm the kind of guy who likes to look for, David Reagan at a plate race. That's why I know we've talked about my love for David Reagan too much on the show, but a big reason, aside from trying to piss a buddy of mine off just by being his fan, which that's just now trigger memories. I did talk about this, but he would win you money in fantasy because he'd be $5,100 going into a plate race in DraftKings, and he'd rack up a shit ton of points by getting top 10s and that sort of thing. So it's not like that with NASCAR fantasy, though. Just play it as dumb as possible.
Priest almost got me some points, and he got me more points than Larson would have gotten me had I actually ran him. So
yeah, that's true.
Once in a while, you got to make a move like that. McDowell was one of my guys last year that was like, oh, he's actually consistent, and nobody's really paying attention.
He's kind of the same kind of thing. All those front row guys from a few years back and now, you can always watch out for the 34, the 38 in DraftKings and all that. And but yeah. There's no place differential in NASCAR fantasy either, so it's kind of, I don't know, whatever. Just pick the same 5 guys and you'll win. That's my advice.
So that was our fantasy recap. And going back to, I guess, the original crux of this conversation is are we going back here next year? Is dirt happening here again? What do we think?
Well, we were kind of chatting about that before you got here, and it doesn't really seem like it. I mean, they have not announced ticket sales yet, and that's been a consistent thing.
Was that something they did last year?
Yeah, the past 2 years. Well, they didn't. Obviously, there wasn't a Bristol race to announce directly after the last concrete spring race, but after the first one, they had the ticket link up immediately. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of expected the same thing to happen this time, and it was pretty quiet, and there still isn't a link, which that doesn't necessarily indicate that they're not doing it again. But it certainly indicates they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, who the hell knows? I guess depends on what happens with Wilkesboro. I mean, I don't see Rockingham being re-added,
honestly,
but
I would say it's probably more with them trying to figure out where to fit this race that's not on Easter weekend. If I had to put money on it. Because I'll be honest, Icebreaker was this weekend, which, by the way, great show. Congratulations to Ronnie Williams for winning the Icebreaker 125 and taking home a cool $10,000 in TJ Maxx gift cards. I assume that's what they pay him out in. Yeah, it was kind of a light car count, kind of a light crowd. And, there's a lot of things you could chalk that up to, I suppose. But I think the biggest one is the fact that it was Easter weekend. And despite the fact that I don't think the three of us really celebrate, I think most fucking people do. So it's kind of a bad. NASCAR didn't schedule races on Easter for a long time.
Yeah,
there was a reason for that, and I think that maybe that probably has the most to do with it.
They've tried doing this thing in the pre-race. They'll have like this hour-long big Easter celebration where like Tim Tebow led the gospel for like an hour before Sunday's race, and there was actually a big crowd of people at that from what I saw, but not my cup of tea. I think the year before that Coach Gibbs led it, but
So at this point, Jesus came back. We don't know if Bristol is coming back in dirt form, but we do know another person is back.
It does.
That's right. This is something when you picked up the phone, buddy. That's exactly what we're talking about. Uncle Kenny's back, baby. Woo! Happy birthday to me, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I've been watching a little more Kenny's YouTube, and I'm still just, man, I don't know, something dark about him underneath all the smiles and the laughing and the shit talk. There's just a darkness that lies underneath there. But I'm excited to see him come back on TV, though.
It's that Missouri frugal coming through, But yeah, he's going to be at I think all the SMI tracks coming up. Charlotte, I don't know about the 600, but definitely the Roval. He's coming up to Loudon, so I'm excited to see him there. And even if Kenny wasn't involved, like the Trackside Live thing is really fucking cool. And I've seen Richard Petty speak at these things. I've seen Dale Jr. up there. Like, if you want to see the stars, I guess, and get some inside information and maybe learn some things you didn't know, like those Trackside Live events are awesome. And now that Kenny's back, I feel like it, and I forget who else is doing it with him, but I think, they're kind of bringing the profile up a little bit, and I think you'll see some cool guests there. So if it's happening at one of the tracks they're going to, make sure you go watch it. I can assure you that those events are always fun as hell, and it's a nice reprieve from, standing in line for a funnel cake or some shit.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of the footage from this past weekend of him doing it, but he did say he'll be at the Coke 600, so I'll go check him out when I go to that.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in any races I'm going to in the next few months, but who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky somewhere. Will it be at Darlington if they're at Darlington? No. That's not SMI track.
Darlington's not SMI, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Aren't you coming to Atlanta? You said something about that.
I might be going to Atlanta, yes. Another group of friends of mine are talking about going, so I'm trying to work something out there.
Truelove, maybe don't tell him that Kenny's going to be there. If you want him to come hang out, he might not go. Maybe don't tell him about it.
I'll tell him that we're going to go see Ross Chastain, and then
he's going to
surprise him with Uncle Kenny.
Him and Gallagher are going to do a show together.
Oh, God.
Oh, but yeah, man.
Oh God, that's good.
Overall, I think I liked that race a lot, man. I'm personally speaking, I don't really like them dumping dirt on Bristol. I'm not angry about it. It is kind of gimmicky. It's certainly like a step too far, I think, especially when there's other dirt tracks you could do it at. But I mean, shit, that was a great race. Like, I think you can share those opinions of, maybe this isn't the best idea, but God damn, that was awesome.
I mean, it's just one race. Like if they started doing like this multiple times a year, then but one race is fine. That's fun.
Just of all the places to do it at, like, it sucks that it's Bristol because, well, I mean, but the other thing is, these cars don't exactly, the next gen cars don't exactly race that good on the short tracks yet.
Right. Yeah.
So
for now, dirt's fine.
Yeah. Maybe the guys over in Martinsville are trying to call up their local dirt guys and excavation
for the
company
spring
to go
race,
dump some shit on the track for next weekend. But.
Yeah.
I guess we got to get into Rob's dilemma, though. Rob had a major dilemma watching the race on
existential Sunday. Fucking crisis on Sunday night. Of course, y'all know Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece got into it, and those are the guys I pull for. Larson, of course, to me is sort of the out of everyone in the field, at least up until this year, I guess when Preece came in, the sort of shining light for short track racing in there. There's other guys who run the same cars that he does, like Christopher Bell and all that. But Larson's really a champion for short track racing, and I've been following his career for as long as I can remember now. Definitely his entire Cup career. I didn't jump on the bandwagon when he said the N-word like some people did, but so I've been here a while. But then Ryan Preece, I've come up watching him at Thompson and Stafford and the Speed Bowl and all the places up here. He's a modified guy, and anytime someone's driving modifieds, I got to default to them. And I don't know, was that not on Larson completely?
It was
Ryan,
1,000,000% on Larson.
Again, this is coming from a Kyle Larson fan. Whether it's his spotter not communicating with him in a way that he needs to, or whether he just doesn't give a fuck and never uses his mirror. But Larson has a habit of cutting lanes and putting some, I guess this is a nice way to put it, some late blocks on people. Yeah. This is not the first time. So for him to sort of take shots at Preece, and he was pretty classy about it. I don't think he really said anything that pissed me off too much. But Ryan was certainly fired up.
He got spicy, yeah.
And Preece is also about 3 feet taller than Kyle Larson, so I think Kyle knows when to. He didn't go after Bubba either, so I think he knows his place. But yeah, what a dilemma down here. I sat here and contemplated life, and made a chart with pros and cons. And, at the end of the day, I got to side with Ryan Preece. This is his shot. Just because you run up front all the time like Larson does is not entitle you to just, race other people like shit, which I don't know if that was a shitty move or what. I don't necessarily want to, act like he's the fucking devil or anything, because it's,
I'll
short track. I'll leave that to you.
I mean, it
certainly kind of brought that on himself, in my opinion. And, Preece is not going to back down from shit. He doesn't do it up here in New England either. So that's kind of what you get.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to me after the race. I mean, one, Preece is a horrible actor. He had to lie through his goddamn teeth to be.
He doesn't get paid that.
Well, he probably listened to Denny's podcast last week.
Of course. Well, hey, listen, that's what everybody's got to fucking do now. As a driver, is you just have to do that. But Larson, he didn't really do himself any favors either. Just being like, he just tried to play it off like, grow up, like that was an hour and a half ago. Get over it. Like, come on, man, this is racing. We all know
still the same race.
Yeah, you guys. We all know that every driver on that track holds a grudge at one time or another, and you have to try to play it off like it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know why you got so mad. Like, if the roles were reversed, Preece would have been on the wall way faster, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. Larson is not immune to taking his revenge and doing it very swiftly. So
yeah. Oh, I always got to root for the underdog, and I've never really been much of a Larson fan, regardless of the iRacing incident, but again, as a modified guy, dirt, asphalt, and my ignorance came into play here. I didn't realize that Preece was an asphalt-only modified guy. I thought he raced all sorts of short track stuff, but
no, he comes purely from asphalt mods. Yep.
I see. Well, regardless, I still took his side, and he got me more points than Larson, as I said earlier.
Well, you don't finish 35th. That tends to happen. So.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to Martinsville next weekend, so I guess we'll see if everyone's over it or not, because that's definitely going to be a place where Ryan can show his skill set yet again.
Well, that's if the cars, are improved over last year. I guess we'll wait and see how that works too. Although I think this Bristol race was a vast improvement over last year. So to me, even Richmond was better. So I guess that's an indicator that Martinsville will probably be a better race this year.
It's a little bit of hope.
I think so. Yeah, it's not going to be what we saw last year. I don't think. I'm not concerned about that.
The Willie B show.
But it could be. He might lead every lap again.
Yeah. One person we won't have to worry about on the track is Cody Ware. Unfortunately, Cody Ware was out of the car on Sunday for unknown reasons.
Personal matters.
Personal matters, and
that's one way to put it.
Well, that's how they put it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to make jokes about any sort of domestic violence situation, but Cody Ware is out of the car for a domestic violence arrest, and who knows if and when we'll ever see him back in another one. And that really
doubt it.
Question of Yeah, I mean, great. This is 2 wears with this type of charge, and I haven't seen the other one back.
No,
So
the other one fell off the face of the fucking earth after
Is he just like a SoundCloud rapper, which follows the script?
Yeah. That's how he's making money.
So I guess with this leaves us with the questions of, who's in the car now and what happens to this team going forward.
They haven't announced anything as of recording this. I'm sure we're going to find out probably on Thursday or Friday. I bet you Garrett Smithley is going to end up in there or something like that.
Dear God.
That seems to be the, there's only like 4 guys they pull from. I think JJ Yaley's already driving.
Yeah. That was one of the things one of the guys Denny suggested. I'm like, he's already in one of those cars. What the hell? I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe you could put Josh Williams back in the car. There's a handful of guys that I'm sure would be willing to do it.
They had Crafton in this weekend. Would they not use him again?
I think that's up to him.
Just like a last minute.
It's up to him. Yeah.
Deal.
Matt is so funny about like the races he picks. That was his second Cup race, I believe. The first one being the Daytona 500 when Kyle Busch snapped his feet off. And then
that's one way to put it.
And this one, well, he kind of did.
Well, he did.
He got him back, folks. Spoiler alert.
Been reattached.
Full use of his feet again. I don't know. I think, and again, it's all about money, obviously. But I would try and pick somebody who maybe you'd want to bring through the ranks. And I don't know. I think Riley Herbst is probably a smart option for them too. I feel like that's probably going to be the other guy they might look at because he's actually been acquitting himself pretty well in Xfinity. It makes my stomach sick to say that, but it's true. And then Colt Custer, of course, through the SHR affiliation, he has experience in these cars already and can't run any worse than that thing than he did last year in the 41. So there's plenty of people. I'd love to see him take a chance on somebody and, try and poach like fucking Buddy Kofoid or something, from a complete other world to run these races, but that's not going to happen. So
Jordan Taylor.
Yeah.
He's
coming back.
He's
Jensen Button, baby.
Jordan's a Chevy guy, so I don't think that's going to happen. But who's a Ford guy? Frankie Muniz. Let's put him in. He's
Ford
ready.
Guy.
He's had like 4
straight to Cub.
Put him in.
That's about as good as half of these motherfuckers filling those seats. So yeah, I don't know. But also, like we were kind of talking about this earlier, maybe this is where old Dale Jr. gets his little charter from, huh?
Could be.
It's possible.
I doubt it, but maybe,
Rick Ware's running out of kids to put in these damn cars.
And they're all in jail.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on what happens with, again, this team going forward. Listening to Dale talk with Chip Ganasky a few weeks ago, like Chip was just like, it's a time and a place deal. Like, you're thinking about
certainly a time and place.
Yeah, this could be a time and a place. So we'll see.
I don't know, like let's reserve judgment here too. Like, remember Kurt Busch had some pretty serious charges thrown on him, and now everyone loves when he cries on the broadcast. So it's like it never happened. So it could be I tend to not think that for whatever reason, but yeah, I don't know. Let's all try and reserve a little bit. The kid's not guilty yet. Give it a couple weeks.
He probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's allegedly.
I think so. I think that's the case.
Yeah. So yeah, and then what are we wrapping up this segment with here? Casey Kane. Casey Kane.
Don't forget about my boy Casey Kane.
So NASCAR's continually adding drivers to this 75 best of all time list, and I think a lot of people were shocked by the inclusion of Casey Kane. He's kind of one of the first of. So let me just back up here. They announced the first 50, right?
Yeah. That was announced in 98.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the new list, though.
So we're just adding 25 on top of those.
That's it. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were revising the original list or anything like that.
No, those guys get to stay there.
Yeah. People were pretty shocked. And honestly, like the years at Hendrick weren't exactly great, especially the last 2 or 3 years in the 5. But you look at his stats and the guy won a lot of races, and I think it actually tracks. I think it's a good choice.
The more I looked at his stats, like I had forgotten that he's won 3 Coke 600s and he should have won 4. So
he should have about 8 more wins on his that column. So
there's there's definitely a handful of guys in that first 50 that, you know, when you look back through, Kane's got more wins than him. He's got more wins than, you know, Neil Bonnet. I think he's got equal of Ernie Irvin. He's
certainly
got
more than Alan Kowicki. He doesn't have the championship.
definitely more. Yeah.
But
I think he's got more than Tim Richmond, and I think one of the ways they could have introduced him to this list is the most fuckable driver since Tim Richmond. I think that would have been a good catchphrase.
Do you think that's part of the criteria for the guys deciding this?
Hey, listen, I'd say, listen, they
fan preference, yeah.
They described him as energizing the fan base, and he energized a very particular fan part of the fan.
That's one way to put it.
As a young 20-something, he definitely energized me personally.
He had a whole fucking ad campaign about how these middle-aged women were chasing him around town. Like, look, you know,
he's quite dreamy. He's still a very handsome man. Let's just
for sure.
He makes a mean T-shirt too, and also still has his outlaw team. Yeah, the guy's a fucking legend, and I think it's one of those sad situations where I think his legacy is sort of unfairly tarnished by a few years where things didn't go as well as he would probably have wanted them to. You know, switching to Red Bull and then going over to Hendrick and being sort of the bastard child over there. You know, he's still a wheelman, and also especially the way he went out because of his concussions.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, when that happened and how long he'd been struggling for. So, I don't know. It's pretty tough to argue against the stats, though. And I think this is completely warranted. Casey Kane deserves to be on that list, at least at number 75, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, slip him in there at the end.
Yeah. Also, that's where our DARF of the week comes from this week.
Mm-hmm.
Also today, Mike Stefanik, which if you guys don't know who that is, look him up. 9-time NASCAR modified champion. Of course, the modifieds, the oldest division sanctioned by NASCAR, still running. They, in fact, are the reason for the number 75. Because they were running modifieds before they were running cup cars or convertibles or whatever the fuck else they were doing back in the day. So Mike Stefanik, 9-time champion in that division, an absolute legend. And, you know, I can understand people being a little bit confused if you don't know who he is, but it's all about the entire sport of NASCAR across the board, every division, everything they do, down to the weekly series. And there's some guys in the Hall of Fame that, you know, you kind of have to learn who they are. And, you know, Mike is one of those guys. By the way, he is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he passed away right before he got the nod. And so our DARF of the week comes off Reddit, which these people think they're smarter than the average Twitter user, but that's not fucking true at all. And this is a good indication of that. A guy named Zach NASCAR Channel, which, by the way, I guess he sells die-casts or some shit like that. I don't really care because he pissed me off on my fucking birthday so much.
The
This is
audacity.
We were going to talk about Cody, people reacting to Cody Ware getting suspended. I thought we're dumb, but this just completely wiped the slate. An 11th hour entry for DARF of the week. This kid says, I don't care if I get hate for this. And, you're getting it, motherfucker. But this is not deserved. This man only had 11 top 10s across the 3 top series and never started a cup race. This list should be reserved for cup guys only, and at most the top 3 touring series, not the modified division. Common NASCAR L. And he follows it up with, who are we going to add next? Brexton Bush because he won a couple of go-kart races? Go fuck yourself. Go shove a die-cast up your ass. Go to Walmart, bother him in the back room and waiting for the next wave to come out. Do the lamest shit on earth. Oh, fuck you. That's, you've ruined my birthday, Zach. That's not entirely true. I'm having a good day, actually. But seriously, how fucking dumb do you have to be? And I got to be honest, I felt a little guilty after last week's DARF of the week. I was a little harsh. You know, I wished food poisoning on a guy, and that's not really the spirit I want to convey here. People can have their opinions, and if I disagree with them, even if they're dumb, you're entitled to it. This is America after all, but this is just dumb as fuck. Just saying, it's a harder championship to win, in my opinion, than it is. There's no fucking playoffs. It's traditional, and it's the oldest division. So, Zach, go fuck yourself. There's no judgment for you. Just get off Reddit, delete your account, and find something else to do.
I mean, I think on one hand, you know, I have to admit,
spicy in your old age.
Jeez,
Full blown grumpy old man.
You know, I have to come clean as, you know, a younger fan. I definitely was way ignorant of, like, you know, much past Bush as far as other types or other classes or whatever you want to call it in NASCAR. But I think and that's something that really, if you're a Cup, the most common type of NASCAR fan is a Cup fan. So it's not like you're not going to run into these types of people, but it's also 2023. It's like anything else. It's incredibly easy to do a tiny bit of research and understand. A lot of fans don't bother doing that. And again, they don't even realize that these other forms of racing are out there. So, why even bother wasting the time? It's very easy to run your mouth on the internet than to do 5 minutes worth of research.
Exactly. And that's why this pisses me off, because our DARF of the week here, I'm not going to say his name again. He who shall not be named.
It was Zach.
Sorry. He clearly watches this. He's got a YouTube channel. He has a presence. He even has a fucking Plan B or what is it, Circle B diecast code on his page. And for you to sit here and disrespect modifieds like that, and anything below the truck series, which by the way is just fucking middle school now, as all the truck series is. There's a hot take for you. But I just come on, do better. Do better.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to be some sort of NASCAR influencer or content creator, then definitely put fucking effort.
And that's why I'm pissed. It's not, you can have that opinion, and honestly, I understand it. If you don't know what modifieds are, it isn't the top 3 series. It's not really on television. You got to stay up to 11 o'clock at night to watch a 3-week tape delay of a mod race these days. So which is also old school in its own way. I get that, but if you're going to be out there speaking and trying to, honestly make money off this shit, then at least get your history right. So
yeah,
fuck you. Anyway,
well, now that Rob, it's definitely funny that you're more angry about this DARF than you were about the whole Larson Priest situation. I guess the Bristol battle, it's not so much thing to be angry about so much as to be confused.
Well, he's had time to cool off from that. He had a good hour and a half.
Well, I will say this, and I wasn't going to bring this up on the show at all, but the peanut gallery and I want to say Larson fans are pretty high up there on the old moron list with a lot of Chase fans now. I don't include Truelove in this, of course. We're friends and we've come to an agreement that we don't talk about these things. But man, these people are fucking idiots. Larson fans are horrible. I'm not one of you guys.
Post 2020 Larson fans are the fucking worst of the worst.
But there's been so much just shitting on the modifieds and shitting on short track racing because Ryan should just go back there and this is the big league when guys like Cody Ware are out there, And it's just fucking again, no offense to Cody for that anyway, if the other thing is true, then plenty of offense. But there's just zero respect from a lot of fans for short track racing and modifieds. And so that's probably why I'm so mad about this cat saying this stuff, is because I was already angry about it and chose not to say something about it. And then I saw this on Reddit as I was closing my laptop at work, and I was like, you motherfucker.
Well, this is the place to let your aggression out, Rob. This is
in public, Yep. In the middle of an Applebee's.
Yeah. It is your special day, so
I'll have another Coors Light, please. Thank you.
So I guess now that we've covered the DARF, now it's time to reach our video of the week segment. Now this week, this is another one that Rob picked because I'm still in. A, I've been pretty busy the last few days, and B, all of my time watching old racing footage is just stuck to old monster truck stuff. We're not ready for another monster truck segment just yet. So
there's the answer. We actually brought that up before you hopped on here because we're ready for it. The fans are ready. So whenever you're ready.
Maybe next week because I think I've got 2 or 3 videos because I'm actually trying to put a lot of effort into my monster truck historian bullshit.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, you take all the time you need then.
See, this is how you respect something, though. You take the time before just spouting off on the internet. So.
No need to rush.
But Rob decided to bring up the 1999 Toyota Celebrity Grand Prix at Long Beach, correct? That's where they're racing.
That's right. Well, it's appropriate because we are going to Long Beach with IndyCar this weekend. And,
yeah, so there we go. That there's a reason why he picked that. And this was actually a very famous race for about 40 years. The last one they ran was in 2016. But this was a thing I do remember seeing, clips and stuff throughout the years. It was never something I ever really watched or paid attention to, but this one in particular, it's an edit. You don't see the entire race, but you see all the action. And let me just start out by saying, I don't know who like 90% of the people who are on this show are. Now, I say this not as someone who, some of them I know. Obviously, we know, we're all kind of in the same age range. We all know Melissa. Got to know Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah, Melissa Joan Hart. Yeah. She's in this race, by the way. We're not just bringing her up. She actually drives a car here.
Yep. Coolio is in this race. We know Coolio. Carl Lewis. He's an Olympian. I know him kind of. Donny Osmond, definitely more of my parents or my mom rather was into him. Yeah. And from there, it's just all downhill. You can't not talk about Alfonso Ribeiro. Of course, that's Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a 3-time winner of this race, and honestly, kind of a wheelman. But he's not in this race, though.
He's not in this one.
He's not in this one.
Rob, I took fucking notes. Okay, talk about doing your research here. Okay?
I'm the DARF of the week, but listen, I've watched so many of these fucking things over the past 2 days because
all those B-list celebrities start running together. Yeah.
Well, it's not even B-list here. I mean, at this point, I already went through all the big names. There's some dickhead from Baywatch. There's a girl from The Young and the Restless, which is a show my grandma was watching. A comedian, Darren Mitchell, who was on Veronica's Closet, which was like a Victoria's Secret style type sitcom with Kirstie Alley. You've got a CNN anchor who talks about like racing with real celebrities who, again, these aren't real celebrities. And then you've got a couple X Games guys, Sean Palmer, for, as the one person on this show who was involved in, action, extreme sports. Sean was like an early Travis Pastrana, Sean type. He did motocross, skiing, snowboarding, mountain bikes. He was good in all of them.
He was,
The other guy that he's with, he was just like an early extreme freestyle skier, but his big thing was he has this big stupid mohawk that he still has to this day. So he was used in a lot of like shots of like early.
Yeah, I mean, there's some incredible shots of him doing some wild shit with that mohawk. And I mean, again, I grew up skiing, so that was a guy. I didn't look up to him by any means, but you couldn't pick up a magazine without seeing him. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't ski at all, but I still know who he was.
Yeah.
And I will say that he is a NASCAR fan too. Like I saw him out at Darlington a few years back with the Wood brothers hanging out. So
interesting. That's
cool.
Okay, well, that's cool. And then from there, you've got a Toyota dealer, and then a guy who won a charity auction in this race with these people. So, we also didn't get. We got to get to the pros. The pros are 1, the Toyota dealer, 2, this skier guy, and 2 drag racers on a road. No, hold on, I screwed it up.
Isn't Roger Mears in there?
I was gonna say I mixed up the Toyota dealer with Roger Mears as the pro. Very
he kind of looks like he could work at a Toyota dealership.
Roger Mears Toyota. Yeah.
Roger Mears is the only driver in this field who is like an actual racer. I mean, again, you talk about Angel Sealing and Gary Selzy. Yes, they're racers, but they're drag racers. They're not road course racers. So it's very insane for them to be called pros in this situation.
I was surprised that the Glenn Plake or whatever his name is, the skier, was included in the pro category.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to do some research on that. Maybe he drove or something. I don't know. Like,
I didn't see anything in the little bit of research that I did.
This was definitely before the era of rally cars being involved with the X Games and that sort of thing. So
yeah, this was before, because I mean, really, I think it was in either 2000 or 2001 is when the X Games added motorcycles, and from there, it was just like every year, here's another category with the motor on it. And now it's just like all the original sports are X Games themselves are pretty much done. But All the action sports weren't even really part of it the last few years. But regardless, let's get to the actual racing. You see some B-roll footage of everybody joking and bullshitting before the race.
Half the broadcast.
Yeah, really. For this edit, at least. Melissa Joan Hart is the first driver to be lapped. I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm not totally surprised that she was the first youngest one in the race.
Sabrina, the teenage back marker.
Yeah. Sean Palmer. I shouldn't say he wrecks Andy Lauer, who Andy Lauer was like a director, I guess, and an actor. But I think it was more Lauer didn't necessarily know. He missed the turn or something, which he was the winner of the year prior. So the fact that he ends up wrecking was funny.
Lauer looked like Larson trying to clear himself in that incident.
Yes. Rick Mears has a couple different incidents with drivers. First, he gets spun into the water barrels by Carl Lewis, and he just keeps going. He's totally fine.
And it's a hell of a sentence, isn't it? Right there, getting spun into the water barrels by Carl Lewis.
And then the Baywatch guy puts him in the wall at one point and just keeps going. And then really the broadcast, at least the edit that we see, ends with Donny Osmond flipping his car all by himself. Again, Donny Osmond, another one who won this race before, completely missed, blew right through this S-turn and right into the wall and flipped his car.
Yeah, pretty comical flip. Not a violent flip, just like you made it. You can make that left turn, turn it into Walmart and hit the median wrong and do that with your little Toyota Celica. So.
Yeah, that was the gist of that flip. It's you really see all the action you need to see. I mean, this is only a 15-minute clip, and only half of it is the actual race. And I can't imagine there was too much more that went on.
It's only 10 laps total, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's not like they have celebrity pit crews or anything, like the cast of Veronica's Closet, not changing tires or anything like that. So, but man, I hate that this event is no longer. They stopped doing it in 2016. I feel like, and I said this earlier, but I really think that if NASCAR is going to start doing street races, they really need to look to Long Beach as inspiration. I'm sure they have, but the way Long Beach is such an event, and the way that this was part of I think this race happened like a Wednesday or a Thursday leading into the Grand Prix weekend. Mm-hmm. So it was a really interesting way to bring people in who might not normally want to come, or at the very least just make it more of a spectacle. And of course Long Beach still does a great job. They have IMSA coming in along with IndyCar. Long Beach is the second biggest race of the year in the IndyCar schedule by a large margin. They still draw about 125, 200,000 people out to Long Beach for that race. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane. And I just hate that this part of it is gone, because it really was tradition. Like you said, they ran it for 40 years. I'm going through the list now of all the past winners, and there are some unsurprisingly conservative past winners, like you've got Ted Nugent on there and Lorenzo Lamas. You've got Rick Schroeder, who's another weirdo, crazy right winger now. You've also got Jason Bateman, who in 87 he would have been. Was that Family Ties he was on? What the hell show was he on in the 80s? He was on something. Not Arrested Development.
No, definitely not Arrested Development. You had Caitlyn Jenner won a handful of times, who Caitlyn Jenner in the 80s was a celebrity for much different reasons than she is now.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, old Jenner was heavy into sports car racing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing.
Bruce Jenner won a bunch of races. It was on all kinds of broadcasts,
Going through this list, it's like, you would expect to maybe see a Steve McQueen on here, or Paul Newman, but I think those guys were actually really racing.
They're too busy racing Trans Am.
Yeah, so they didn't, why would we go bother with this bullshit celebrity race?
Saw that my buddy Rutledge Wood won in 2013.
Yep, Frankie Muniz won. This was one of the inspirations for him to get into actual racing. Yep. Jamie Little won. Keanu Reeves won. It's just a wild list of different winners.
And that's what I'm saying. It's celebrity activation without it feeling completely dumb and just shoving people in who don't want anything to do with this and collecting a paycheck.
Wait, who ended up even winning this race?
It was Sean Palmer. He ended up because he started. On
okay, he started on the pole. That's right. I got so distracted by that Osmond flip.
Yeah, Donny Osmond flipping. But yeah, I just think that this is the way. If you want to bring in people to the sport, this is a good way to do it. And not I don't mean like bring in people as in like fans, but if you want to use celebrity activation, this is a hell of a way to do it. Put them in race cars. You know,
NASCAR loves bringing out celebrities to races, so
they do.
Put them in a car.
Put them in a Legends car, which that's happened before. There's been races at the fairgrounds where Brooks and Dunn raced and shit like that. You know, like, I think it's possible to take cues from, again, like Long Beach's and Kevin Kalkoven and all those guys. Like, they've been doing this event for a long time. I don't even know if he's still involved with it, but whoever's been running the Grand Prix for all these years has done a great job, and they have their finger on the pulse. And despite the fact that IndyCar is, you know, much lesser of a series than it was back in these days, they still managed to draw hundreds of thousands of people out to the event. So I think, you know, NASCAR can take a cue from that if they're really going to start towing the waters of going into cities and doing events that are outside of the norm. And I would hope that they would. And even at the regular tracks, I'd hope they would try some things like this. And goddamn, I just hope that, you know, if you're listening to this, Long Beach Grand Prix organizers, bring this race back. It's so fun. One more little bonus video I want to throw in here. The final race in 2016. It has a lot of the people we just mentioned. They had a big field, past winners. Alfonso Ribeiro was actually in that one. So, but yeah, Frankie Muniz as well, Rutledge Wood, a lot of people who have just been in the race for a long time are in that one as well. It's a nice little farewell to a 40-year tradition. So.
And I guess with that, we are on to, again, Long Beach and Martinsville next week, correct?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Long Beach is always a great race. I think that's probably going to be the best race of the weekend, in my opinion. That's just not me being an IndyCar fan. It's always puts on a good show. I wouldn't be surprised to see one of the Penske guys come in there and make it 2 in a row.
Is that running the same time as Martinsville, or are they going to?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't get to watch the IndyCar race because Martinsville comes on at the exact same time as the fucking IndyCar race. Who's in charge here? I did this a bunch last year, too.
I hate that we're getting rid of night races in NASCAR on Saturday nights and moving into Sunday afternoons. I really hate it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a TV deal.
I will say
or
this,
what,
though.
But
I really enjoyed the Sunday night thing with Bristol. I know a lot of people probably didn't. I might be alone in that principle, but man, it was awesome to just flip on the TV at 8 o'clock. And that's the last thing I do before I go to sleep and, you know, go work. Have a little NASCAR race to turn my brain off to, rather than getting drunk in my basement at like 2 p.m. and then having to make dinner and just being shit-faced all night. I know what you're thinking. Change your habits, but I won't do that. So,
I'm with you on this because you know,
it's awesome.
Sundays for me, it's like I usually start out. You know, I do a flea market. I'm riding my bikes. You know, I'm hanging out with the dog. I like to go to the dog park and stuff. And to kind of stop doing outdoor stuff at like 3 o'clock to start watching a race, like
to go sit inside. Yeah, that
kind of sucks most of the time. So like either, you know, we're never gonna go back to early starts, but later starts are great. 5, 6, 7 by all means. And yeah, like Rob was saying, it's definitely not for everybody, but I would love it personally. So
yeah, I have to wholeheartedly put my hand up in support of Sunday night races as a television viewer. But and I would go travel to them too. That's not a problem for me. You know, I'll take one day off.
I'm kind of confused as to why the spring Martinsville race isn't a night race anymore. They did it for like 2 or 3 years and made this huge deal about how Martinsville is going to be under lights and a night race and yada yada. And then they just now it's back to Sunday day.
I don't know. It's
weird.
Because Martinsville under the lights is excellent. Like as an experience anyway. I know the race last year wasn't that great. I've bitched about it every single episode because I was there and suffered through it. But but man, that track under the lights is something else.
Yeah. And the temperatures are going to be nice this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, I hate to see that, you know, because a night race there's not many things more satisfying, at least to me anyway, as a night race. So
the spring Martinsville race is always kind of meh compared to the fall Martinsville race. So, I mean, doing something a little different under the lights. I feel like it needs something.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, I think if the racing is better than it was last year, that'll be a big enough of improvement. Most people probably won't even care about the other parts. But I guess we'll see. So yeah, I don't know how to wrap this one up, guys. Anything else?
We're gonna have you sing "Happy Birthday" to Rob to close it out.
The Greater Ohio Children's Choir is here. Yes, come on inside, everybody. Yes.
Oh, I'm afraid they just got hit by a bus.
Oh no, that's dark. I will say this: people have been very nice to me on the internet today, so thank you. I appreciate it. I feel old, but you make me feel young at 39, so it's just not old at all. But thanks for saying what's up. It's nice to get a nice little online hug or a real hug once in a while. So I appreciate you guys.
I'm glad you had spent a little bit of your birthday with us, Rob.
Yeah, It's been good. I wouldn't miss this for the world, honestly, except for the steaks that are coming up here. I got to go.
Yeah, you got to get to those. Yeah.
But yeah, before we clock out here, you guys got any picks for Martinsville? Any closing thoughts? Blah, blah, blah.
I don't
really
know.
Don't. Yeah.
I'll say this. I think, I only get a few times a year to really stroke off Ryan Preece on this show in the Cup Series because SHR is at a bit of a disadvantage. You can kind of pick out where they're going to be good. And I think Martinsville is going to be one of those places where all their cars are pretty good, particularly Ryan Preece. This is his style of track. So, again, if you're going to make a little risk on DraftKings or something like that, I would say the momentum from last weekend, even though things didn't go the way he would probably want him to, I think it's going to continue, and he's going to be full of piss and vinegar this weekend, and I think he'll at least get a top 10 out of this.
See, I'll piggyback off the SHR deal and say I hope Harvick wins for whatever reason. Or
I think that's a good call too.
I would like to see Keselowski because he's been so strong here in the past. He needs a good run, especially after the last few weeks. So it'd be nice to see him do well.
Yeah. So none of y'all are going to Martinsville?
I'll be there in the fall, but no, this
right.
spring race, Martinsville, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's my favorite track to go to. I love it so fucking much, but
it is the best.
It really is the best. Stick with the fall race.
What do you think, Truelove? You got any picks for this, or are you just going to let?
I think Barry might have a pretty good run. He's short, does well in short tracks.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job of kind of playing his role right now.
Yeah,
and just letting the crew set him up, and he's executing every time they do that. So he looks pretty sporty on Sunday too. So yeah, that's probably a good call. And who knows when Chase Elliott's gonna be back? I thought that.
I know Martinsville is 6 weeks, but
yeah,
that's a lot of using that brake, that left foot.
Yeah,
so.
But NASCAR, they'll give him a waiver if it makes it all the way to Phoenix, and they'll put him in the chase no matter what happens.
It takes a 9-month vacation.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, yeah, I guess that's it, huh? So.
Mm-hmm.
Guess so. You got to get to those steaks.
Yeah, really. Go enjoy your birthday.
We already had to wait 2 hours for for Brien to wash the mud off himself.
Yeah, he was. He's rolling around out there in the old pig trough.
Oh, get out of here.
All right, well, I love you guys. I love all you listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week after hopefully an exciting weekend at Martinsville.
Yes, sir. Cheers, y'all.